This is Don Goes Digital, day 6.
Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? This is Don Goes Digital, day 6, I believe. Been kind of a challenging day for me. Pretty exhausted still from the weekend, apparently. So I just squandered my day away. It feels like woke up to some emotional drama in my household with my daughter and her not wanting to go to school. I was going to force her to go to school. Apparently, my mother and my wife thought differently. I don't know if they thought differently, but they were being more understanding to her feelings than I was, which is one of my challenges. So hopefully you can hear me this time. Peter told me on the last video that volume needed to be up, and some people said some other things before that. So I'm trying to remedy it, and hopefully you can hear me. So anyway, a couple days ago, it was over the weekend that we had a few homicides pretty close to my neighborhood, some of them. 3 in 24 hours, according to the news. And I saw an article or saw a news piece on that today, article, video on one of the Kansas City's websites, one of the news networks. So I wanted to really address that because it's something that is significant for communities on the east side of town here, black communities in particular. And with all the stuff going on in the media with black on black crime or crimes that are prevalent in black neighborhoods and police brutality on blacks and such and such and such. It's just one of those things that I know a little bit about, mostly just from experience. And first, what occurred to me is that when my wife told me about it, my response is like, she just told me about one homicide, then she told me about another, and then she's texting me this, and this is when I was working this past weekend, so that was day 4 and day 3 and 4, yeah. Anyway, it was just like, she texted me about him, like, I don't really want to hear any bad news, but I also like to know when stuff, because one of them was, I'm on 33rd, that's 41st, so 8 blocks away from me on the same street that I live on. And over the summer, we probably had 2 or 3 homicides or significant incidences with lots of gunfire within a few blocks of where we live. And it's not a regular thing, but it's not surprising either. And so it concerned me when I was at the Irish Festival, but my family was here and there's violence that's close by. But at the same time, I had the tendency to just forget it almost instantaneously. It's like, if it wasn't affecting me in a really significant fashion, I can forget it real quick. Similarly, earlier this year, there was a homicide that's literally 2 blocks away. And that one, I almost had the temptation to not go near it so that I could act like it wasn't happening. Everything was going good on my block. The kids were playing in the street. We didn't hear anything. And I felt the temptation to just ignore it and just act like everything was fine where I was. But 2 blocks away, there's a man laying in the street and his family starting to gather. So I actually went down to the crime scene, not as a police officer or a police representative, but somebody in my neighborhood. And I just went and I sat on the corner just to feel the temperature there, to feel because family members or friends or whomever were starting to gather, plus there were police cars and officers there that were blocking the crime scene. But literally it's like a half a block away that the man's body's still laying in the street. And so it was heavy. And if I hadn't gone down there to sit in that for a few minutes, I could have acted like it didn't happen. So for people who don't live in our neighborhoods or neighborhoods like this, or who aren't affected directly by violence, it's easy to forget. And yet it's one of the most important issues that I think that we have as a community. and not just the black community, but as a city, one. But then any municipality has the same problem. So wherever you are, wherever you're listening to this, unless you're in some rural town, and even there, still I think we gotta take responsibility for the people and things around us, and not just what I think affects me, because in reality, so much more affects me than what I immediately take on. And then last night, even, man, I think we heard like 50 rounds of gunfire or something. I don't know if people were celebrating or all shooting together or what, but it was ridiculous. And that affects us, even if it's just subconsciously. So that's some of my thoughts on those things. The crimes that are in my neighborhood or prevalent in neighborhoods like mine are serious issues that, I mean, honestly, I don't think marching's going to do anything about it. I don't think, and the police are only reactionary by nature. Is reactionary a word? Well, let's hope so. Anyway, police by nature just react to stuff and clean up the mess after it happens. So I don't think police or more policing can solve the problems of violent crimes in neighborhoods, because of the fact that unless you have an occupied territory where you got police posted up everywhere, then you're not going to stop that kind of crime. What does stop it? I don't have any real answers. I have some ideas though. And